ARB in War Thunder is a game mode that's been relatively unchanged since War Thunder's inception all the way back in 2012 or 2013. Of course, there have been new vehicles, new metas, missiles, afterburning stuff, supersonic, and whatnot, but the base game mode is largely the same. Personally, I think War Thunder has kind of gotten ahead of itself. And while every single person that plays War Thunder complains about it, I honestly do think War Thunder has done a very good job, especially in terms of modeling the planes, the flight models, the radars, the missiles, etc. And yeah, I do think there are some exceptions, but largely I do think they've done a really good job. However, there are some things this game does need to improve upon in a lot of different areas. So let's get into the 7 things I want to see change in War Thunder in 2024. And by the way, I'm not putting these in order of importance at all, so keep that in mind. Starting off this list is going to be something that I've never really seen anyone talk about, and that is the player's point of view relative to the plane that you're flying. So most planes are fine in this game in terms of your point of view, but there are a few of the larger fighters that do take up quite a large amount of space on your screen. For example, the Su-27. Now when you're going supersonic, it's really not that much of a problem, but as soon as you start getting slower, your camera kind of gets closer to the plane and it feels very cluttered, it feels very large, and it feels like it's kind of hard to like see around the plane. What I'm proposing here is a system much more akin to Rocket League. In Rocket League, there is a default camera view of your camera facing the car. However, if you go into the settings, you can customize every single aspect of your view relative to the car. You can customize the height of the camera, you can customize the angle at which the camera points at the car, and you can also customize how close or far your camera is to the car. There is one thing, however, that might make this a little bit difficult to implement. Every single plane is a different size, and how would you determine what the default view is for every plane? I also imagine there would have to be a way to implement something that would save whatever preset your camera is for a specific plane instead of having to change it every single time you switch planes. But as you could probably imagine, there are absolutely workarounds to the drawbacks of this, and I imagine there are programmers out there who could figure it out. This change alone would make War Thunder so much more enjoyable to me. Number 2 on this list is something I've been thinking about forever but never really been able to formulate into coherent thoughts, but here I am, I'm gonna try it. So when you're free looking in War Thunder and using your mouse to look around, there is no option for raw mouse input, and I'm gonna show you what I mean. When you're looking around, especially when you're looking around quickly, your view in War Thunder will take a second to accelerate and then take a second for it to slow down as well. This is what gives War Thunder's free look that floaty, inaccurate feeling. And it feels inaccurate because, well, it is inaccurate. So what your camera is doing is not 100% accurate to what your mouse is doing, which is really annoying, and I don't think people understand how nice it would be if you could change this to raw input. This and the previous change I suggested would be especially useful for people who like to play War Thunder competitively. And to those who don't know, there is a competitive War Thunder community, but it's never really gotten off the ground, and I imagine even these simple changes would make a massive difference and probably draw in some more players. And then of course, just making the game a ton more fun even if you're not into competitive War Thunder. Up next on the list is something that's been beaten into the dirt by every single ARB player to ever play top tier especially, but ARB in War Thunder is a 16v16 matchmaker pretty much every game, especially in top tier. Just think about this for a second. If you go against a team that's entirely filled with Su-27s, that is potentially 160 missiles that you're gonna have to be going against. And all of those IR missiles that you're gonna be facing, if it's a full team of Su-27s, they are all gonna have IR CCM, so it's gonna take much more than one flare to fool the missiles. I feel like this problem is pretty self-explanatory, but basically top tier is complete and utter chaos. The only way I enjoy top tier at the moment is if I'm 4-stacking with my friends, and I really feel like that shouldn't be the case. I don't know what player number per game would be ideal. If I had to guess, I would imagine 8v8 or 10v10 would probably be the most fun. Or hell, even having some variability in between the games. Maybe one game's a 12v12, the next game you get 8v8, the next one maybe even 16v16. As long as that every game is not 16v16, that would be so much more fun. Up next, I got something that more pertains to lower tier props. I also feel pretty strongly about this as well, and it's a pretty big part of the reason why I don't enjoy props very much. So low tier props is plagued by the issue of people running back to their airfields at the first sign of trouble. In low tier props, there are a ton of people that do this, and it is really annoying and unnecessarily draws out the games when you could have gotten to the next game and started playing again. There are a ton of people that will only engage you if they have every advantage in the world, and as soon as they think they don't, they run back to the airfield, and it's infuriating. So how do we solve this? Frankly, I think we need to either significantly nerf Airfield AAA, maybe disable it if there's only 1 or 2 players left, or ideally just remove it completely. And yeah, every now and then maybe you need to go back to the airfield because you actually need fuel or something and there's an enemy like hovering around your airfield waiting for people like you, but I would 100% rather have that than have to spend a bunch of time waiting for someone to leave their airfield in like half the low tier prop games that I play. There are definitely solutions to all of these problems that would come along with completely removing Airfield AAA, but what are those solutions? I don't know. I have to do some brainstorming. Up next also pertains to low tier props, but definitely leaks into the higher tiers as well sometimes. There are quite a few maps in this game that have AI ticket bleed without player interaction. This is the most infuriating way to lose a game in War Thunder. A very large amount of the time, I have been trying to win a game, say 1vx, and I haven't been able to complete the game because there are 3 or 4 people alive, 2 of them are ground pounding, and on top of that, the AI are bleeding tickets on their own in addition to the players ground pounding. And I don't know about you guys, but having a game end when there's still 10 players alive is kinda dumb and really needs to change. This is another one where I don't know what the exact best solution would be, but my best guess, remove AI ticket bleed completely, maybe increase the match timer, or at least make it a ton more difficult to bleed a team's tickets based off ground targets, and ideally completely remove AI interaction as well. Make it difficult, make it a lot slower of a bleed. Maybe that would make the game a ton better. Actually, it would make the game a ton better. Now, up next is something I put a little bit of thought into. It's something that I would personally love to see, but I think War Thunder should implement some form of PvP-only game mode, or some form of competitive game mode, like Jet Strike, for example, but everyone can queue it whenever they want. A lot of the problems I've talked about in this video so far, I wouldn't even really care about if there was some sort of small player count game mode where it's only PvP, no bombers, no ground targets, and the only way you win is by killing every single other plane on the other team. I would imagine most of my audience pretty much only plays fighters. I know I do. I haven't played a bomber in literally years, so I believe there is definitely a player base for a mode like this. Now, earlier I brought up the competitive side of War Thunder, but pretty much all of that only takes place on weekends, and I am pretty much busy with other stuff every single weekend, so I've literally never even been able to play a Jet Strike tournament or event, even like scrims or whatever. Like, I've literally never been able to do that. And just as an example, if they implemented some sort of permanent competitive game mode, say they added Jet Strike, but anyone could queue it at any point permanently, this would not only be a ton of fun, it would also probably attract a lot more players to that competitive side of War Thunder. Even if they just tried it out and put it in a game mode in the events tab for, say, 2 weeks, for example. It'd be a great way to test it out, see if people like it, see what needs to be changed. If they do decide to implement it, I think it would be a great idea. Also, currently this game incentivizes people to just buy premiums and grind their way to top tier without really incentivizing players to actually try and get better at the game. Now, say what you want about War Thunder's business model, but it does work, and this game makes a ton of money. I would envision maybe some sort of permanent competitive game mode to incentivize those players to, you know, actually try and get good, because there's definitely no lack of information out there on how to get good at ARB and War Thunder, but how many people actually seek that out? I don't really know. I bet a lot more people would seek out that information if there was some sort of competitive mode. Either way, sounds like growth for War Thunder to me. Actually, as I'm recording this, I thought of a pretty good comparison. You know how in Counter-Strike you have casual and you have competitive, right? In casual, I believe it's like 10v10 teams or something. It's complete chaos and doesn't actually make for good gameplay. It's, you know, I guess it's fun to mess around on if you're into that, but it's not me. And then you have competitive, which is a 5v5, and you're competing to see who's the better team. And what do you know? It's one of the most popular esports on the entire planet. And now, on the topic of separate game modes, I do have one more that might be a bit controversial, especially to the people who are on Reddit all the time, but give bombers a separate game mode. This is a win-win scenario for every single player who plays ARB, in my opinion. So you have the people who main fighters, and then you have the people who just want to play their bombers. And bombers complain about being killed by fighters all the time before they can bomb their base, and fighters complain about bombers clogging up the matchmaker and being kind of useless as teammates. Giving people who want to play bombers a separate game mode where they don't have to deal with being killed by fighters, you know, something PvE, just gotta make sure the game mode has similar Silver Lions earnings, similar research rewards, and then I could see this working really well. And then the regular ARB matchmaker will be freed up for people who actually want to PvP. Sounds like a win-win to me. Okay, so that was 7 of the things I would love to see in War Thunder change in 2024. Will any of these things actually be implemented? I would probably say no. But one can dream, right? Now, I tried my best to make this not sound complainy at all. I think I did a pretty good job. I don't know. It's really more of a suggestions thing than a rant video. But either way, let me know what you guys think of everything I've said here today. I'm kind of just waffling, just shouting it out into the ether. Maybe someone at Gaijin will be like, huh, this guy's right. That won't happen, Lamau. But yeah, either way, if you guys have any of your own suggestions, feel free to leave them in the comments. And if you like the video, hit that likey button, and then hit that subscribey button too, because it makes the number go up. Also, still have no fucking idea when my decal is going to be put in the game. I hope it comes. I don't even know if it will at this point, dude. I don't know. I'm confused and annoyed. But yeah, that's going to be it for me today. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and see you next time.